What's going on, guys? This is Rob. If you guys enjoy my content, make sure you hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that little bell so you never miss out on my sexy voice. Okay, so I jumped on Twitter and I asked you guys, I said, what should the next topic for Too Powerful for the Marvel Universe? What should the next character be? And by and large, the biggest response was the one above all, which is way too powerful for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. All right, just by definition, the one above all is too powerful for the Marvel Universe, but I also recognize that these videos draw in a lot of people who are totally unfamiliar with comics. And so in order to make you guys more familiar with comic books, we're gonna provide some context here, and we're gonna provide context in relation to like some of the most powerful beings in existence, right? So take Protege, for example. Protege is an alternate reality character who basically had the ability to copy the powers of others, and there was no upper limit to it. So as long as you saw someone using their abilities, you could copy them. So if Protege saw Professor Charles Xavier of the X-Men using telepathy, he'd be able to copy it. If Protege saw Magneto using his powers, he could copy it. If Protege saw the Molecule Man Owen Reese manipulating reality, Protege could copy it. It goes on and on and on and on, and presumably if Protege saw the one above all use its power, Protege could copy the power of the one above all. There was no upper limit there. There are beings like the Molecule Man Owen Reese who was powerful on a multiversal scale, meaning that he could control the fundamental forces of not just one universe, but all the universes in the multiverse and presumably destroy it all. The Beyonder is the other half of Owen Reese. They could basically do the same thing. They were two parts of a cosmic cube. You take like the Beyonders from Jonathan Hickman's Avengers and New Avengers, which were not as powerful as the original Beyonder, the way that he originally appeared, but you take the Beyonders who were going around and wiping out like the Living Tribunal and wiping out like all the cosmic entities. They were vastly powerful. Every single being that exists in Marvel Comics you could ever look up in terms of all the power they possess, right? Like the Chaos King, Gabriel Shepard, Matthew Malloy, all of them pale in comparison to the power of the one above all. Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet, Thanos with the heart of the universe. All those characters pale in comparison to the power of the one above all. Why? Because the one above all is the creator of the entire Marvel Omniverse. What does that mean? Okay, so let's say, Gordon, my editor, Gordon, you gotta help me out here. All right, let's say that you have a circle, all right? And this circle is called 616. What does that mean? In Marvel Comics, every universe has a numerical designation. That's how you differentiate universes from each other. So instead of saying like the Ultimate Universe or Age of Apocalypse or like the universe of Mad Jim Jaspers, the original Mad Jim Jaspers, instead Marvel uses numerical designations. So the main Marvel universe, you go into a comic book store right now and you buy The Amazing Spider-Man by Nick Spencer, that takes place in Earth 616, the main Marvel universe. The Age of Apocalypse, where the villain Apocalypse conquered North America and intended to conquer the world, that's Earth 295. The original Mad Jim Jaspers story, that's Earth 238. The Ultimate Universe, the universe that the Marvel Cinematic Universe is based off of, that's Earth 1610, 1610. Now, say that this universe we're looking at, Earth 616, the main Marvel universe, this is just a circle. Now, let's say inside this circle is a series of smaller circles, right? One of these smaller circles is called Asgard. Another smaller circle is called Olympus, where the Greek gods dwell. Another smaller universe is called the Dark Dimension, where Dormammu hangs out. And another small universe is called the Crimson Dimension, which houses Sidorak, the being that gives Juggernaut his power. Now, these smaller circles inside this Earth 616 circle, these are just called like dimensions or realms, whatever you want to call them. The term is interchangeable. Small pocket locations inside an existing universe. Every single universe has its own Asgard. Every single universe has its own Dark Dimension. Every universe has its own Crimson Dimension. Every universe has its own Olympus. Now, this circle here, let's say that you zoom out and there's a circle next to it called Earth 1610, the Ultimate Universe, has its own version of these things. Earth 295, Earth 238, and it goes on and on and on and on for an infinite number of universes. And let's say this infinite number of universes is housed inside a bigger circle. And we'll put M for this bigger circle. That means multiverse. It's an infinite number of universes, all of which house their own dimensions and so on and so forth. Now, this is simply just the multiverse as you think of it in Marvel Comics. Like the Living Tribunal, for example, presides over that multiverse to make sure there's no imbalance of magical energy. The one above all created that multiverse. That multiverse exists because the one above all made it. But the one above all also made everything else. So let's say with that bigger circle with an M on it, let's say that next to that is a bigger circle that says DC. DC Comics. Let's say that the circle next to that is the universe where Friends takes place, the TV show. That's the Omniverse. The Omniverse is every single universe that could possibly exist throughout the entire entirety of all conceivable existence. So like the main Marvel multiverse, the Beyondverse, the DC Comics multiverse, all that stuff, all that's part of the Omniverse. Every universe that could possibly exist, even if it's not tied into Marvel Comics, even if it has nothing to do with Marvel Comics at all, it's part of the Omniverse. So like in the Omniverse is like all the stories from the TV show Twilight Zone. And in the Omniverse is like the Star Wars universe. And in the Omniverse is like the Star Trek universe. You guys understand what I'm saying? It's every possible concept that could ever exist that exists in its own universe or multiverse or what have you. The one above all presides over all of that. All of those things were basically, at least according to Marvel Comics, created by the one above all. Now, I say that loosely because it's Marvel's way of establishing the role the one above all plays. If you go to DC Comics will say it's the presence. If you go to, Image Comics, it was the beings above Malboja and all those characters from Spawn. Depending on what comic line you're reading, they'll have their own version of the one above all. And so you're talking about a being that basically created, conceivably, according to Marvel Comics, all things that exist in any form or fashion across the entirety of existence in every conceivable way. That's an astronomical amount of power. How does a being like Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet face off against that? Thanos can't. But the one above all has that much power. It's just that astronomically powerful. It's this immutable, indestructible, inconceivable concept that exists in Marvel Comics. There's no way to defeat it. The Beyonders couldn't defeat it. The Molecule Man Owen Reese can't defeat the one. Like nothing can beat the one above all. The one above all will never end. It'll never die. It's just it's the being that existed before everything came into existence, and it's the being that will exist after everything's destroyed and when it's all recreated. In reality, like looking at it from a real world perspective, as you're watching this video, Marvel kind of uses the one above all as a metaphor, as kind of a metaphor for like Marvel writers, whoever's writing the story or like whoever's running Marvel Comics at the time. The one above all has appeared as Jack Kirby. The one above all has appeared as Stan Lee. The one above all has appeared in a variety of different ways. In Marvel Comics, the one above all actually showed up as a homeless man once, appeared as Spider-Man. Basically said, yeah, your Aunt May's gonna die because, that's just kind of how things go. But the one above all has appeared occasionally to various people, but you never see it. The one above all has only ever appeared twice in Marvel Comics and has been referenced 15 times besides that. And that's it. There's really no reason to invoke it because nothing can destroy it. So the one above all just kind of, it'll pop up. Like, for example, the one above all popped up in Infinity Finale by Jim Starlin after the events of Secret Wars when the Living Tribunal was killed by the Beyonders and Adam Warlock from a different universe was tasked with becoming the new Living Tribunal. That's the one above all appeared, in that instance. The one above all is more or less a concept. So it can be a man or a woman. It could be a frog. It could be a stick that talks to you, a burning bush. It could be any number of different things that are out there. It's one of those things where because it never acts, you can't really say it's too powerful for the Marvel Cinematic Universe because what would it do? I mean, if the one above all came down and said, you know what, Thanos blinking out half of life in existence, that's a problem. So like fix. I mean, like that would be what the one above all would do. I mean, assuming that it even cared enough to come down and do anything in the first place, because normally the things that you would expect the one above all to step in and take care of are things that the Living Tribunal steps in and takes care of, right? The Living Tribunal is the judge of the multiverse. The Living Tribunal sits around and says, okay, so we have cosmic entities and all that kind of stuff. My job is to make sure there's no imbalance of mystical energy, i.e. magical energy. So you can't have two Doctor Stranges in the same universe or something along those lines. The Beyonder, for example, the original Beyonder from Secret Wars in 1984, the Living Tribunal tried to stop that original Beyonder. Why? Because that was an extreme amount of power that if left unchecked would obliterate the entire multiverse. But the one above all never acts. It never needs to because, it's just kind of like, yes, I plan these things out. This happens because I want it to, all that kind of stuff. The collapse of the multiverse during Secret Wars happened because the one above all wanted it to. We know that it wanted it to because it let it happen. So again, it's things like that. There's no conceivable way to beat it. There's no conceivable way to defeat it. So if it showed up, then yeah, it would just destroy everything because nobody could stand against it. No character that could even be created, even if the writers just made a character up, right? Like even the Russo brothers just like made up a character. It couldn't defeat the one above all because it's just not powerful enough. I mean, it's either that or defeating the one above all would be a contradiction, right? Like the one above all created all things, it's immutable and indestructible. So it's like the God paradox, right? Can God create an object too heavy for him to lift? If the one above all is the creator, is the alpha, the omega, the beginning and the end of all things, and then it's destroyed, was it ever the one above all in the first place? So like that's kind of the problem that you run into. That's kind of the paradox that you run into there. But again, I mean, it's just an astronomical amount of power. I mean, it would be like a bacteria, like a single cell organism trying to defeat Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. It's not going to happen. I mean, there's no conceivable way for it to take place. So again, I don't know how else to explain that. I don't know how else to say that. The one above all is too powerful for the Marvel Cinematic Universe because you're talking about a being that was powerful enough to create the Omniverse in its entirety, a space of universes that dwarfs the size of the main Marvel universe, the main Marvel multiverse. It's just an astronomical amount of power. It's just completely immutable, indestructible. Nothing can defeat it. So at that level, it's just, I don't know how to make this video compelling. It's just that damn powerful. It's nuts. But I guess doing the best we can with what we got. I was a little baffled when people asked it. I was like, really? Why would we do something on the one above all? Like, it speaks for itself. It's the one above all. Like, it's weird. But anyway, yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. Also, give me ideas for the next video. I'm thinking about doing the Chaos King, Amatsu Mikabashi, I think is what it is. The Chaos King wiped out like 97% of the cosmic entities and like stole their power. Like really 97% of the gods and like stole their power. It almost destroyed the entire multiverse. It's kind of bonkers because when you think about it, as powerful as a Chaos King was, the Chaos King was just an aspect of Oblivion, which tells you how powerful Oblivion was. So like Oblivion was nuts. Like it was insane. The idea with Oblivion is that like everything will end, right? Like eternity, the living embodiment of the universe, infinity, the living embodiment of time that passes from the birth of the universe to its death, they will all die. And what would happen is Oblivion would basically wipe it all away. Like it would absorb it into itself. It would wipe all those things away. Then the Phoenix Force would come back and create everything new again. That's the role it was supposed that was supposed to have been played. The problem is the Beyonders destroyed everything prematurely, so we didn't actually get to see that play out. Because there were a lot of things that were supposed to happen in Marvel Comics that were supposed to play out a certain way, like the natural death of the universe. Franklin Richards and Galactus would be the last two beings left alive to see the death of the universe, and then they would be reborn into the new universe as whatever forms they took place, that took place. But the fact remains that kind of getting back on track with the one above all, yeah, it's an astronomical amount of power. Nothing can defeat it, nothing can destroy it. There's no way for anything to possibly win against it. So with that being said, guys, we're gonna bring this video to an end. If you are new here to Comics Explained, make sure you guys hit the sub button to become part of the Rob Corps. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you drop a like, and I will catch you all later. Peace.